As victims were being brought out of the Shelby Center on stretchers, SWAT team members were headed in, guns at the ready. The UA Huntsville campus went into lockdown.
Approximately 4 p.m. we had a shooting on campus, shooting reported on campus. The emergency response was here by 4:01. We closed residence halls at 4:10, and then we began securing the building.
Inside that building on the 3rd floor, 6 people shot, 5 of them professors, and 1 of them a support staff member.
The shooting did take place in a conference room during a faculty meeting in Shelby Center for Science and Technology. The shooter was apprehended outside the building without incident, and she's being questioned at the moment.
Within moments of the shooting, campus police and Huntsville officers were on the scene, making sure the shooter was in custody, and if any other faculty or students were inside, that they were safe.
As I went through that building, I saw uniforms from the Huntsville Police Department, Madison Police Department, Madison County Sheriff's Office, HMC, Huntsville Fire Department. As I looked out there in the parking lot, ATF, FBI.
Campus Police Chief Charles Gale says the people inside the conference room called 911.
I am very pleased with the response that occurred in that conference room and what those survivors did in that conference room.
Another week and another shooting in a place most people never fear for their safety.
Amy Bishop is a Harvard-educated neurobiologist with a PhD and is a mother of 4. Now she's charged with capital murder. On Friday, Bishop allegedly opened fire in a faculty meeting, killing 3 fellow professors. She was recently denied the job for life security of academic tenure and was reportedly upset, but said little as she was taken into custody.
Jim Anderson has a lot of questions after his wife of 20 years and mother of his 4 children inexplicably opened fire last week during a university staff meeting. Dr. Amy Bishop, confused and bewildered, was immediately arrested at the scene.
It didn't happen. There's no way.
What about the people who died?
There's no way they're still alive.
But 3 professors were killed. 3 other people were injured. And witnesses say Dr. Bishop just walked away and called her husband for a ride.
I pulled up to pick her up to go home. And I thought somebody had gone crazy at the school.
Did you have any idea as to why Amy was being loaded in a cruiser?
No idea.
Did you suspect that she might have been involved in anything?
Nothing. Not a bit.
But Dr. Bishop is facing a capital murder charge and 3 attempted murder charges. And after the district attorney learned that one of the other professors was spared when the gun didn't fire.
She stepped out into the hall and pointed the gun at me and pulled the trigger, and it clicked, and it clicked again.
What were your thoughts at that time that you were learning these details?
Like, this can't happen. I mean, what? You gotta be wrong, you gotta be mistaken, you know.
You got the wrong person?
Yeah.
Management. Did she ever seek any anger management counseling?
No.
Do you think she might have needed it?
I don't think so.
Do you think there's any correlation between some of these events in her past and what happened on Friday?
No.
Nothing?
Nothing.
But Jim Anderson does know of one trigger that may have caused his wife to snap.
It's the battle for tenure. Only somebody who's been intimately involved with that fight understands. It's a tough, long, hard battle.
Do you think the stress of that tenure fight is involved here?
That, I would say, is part of the problem, you know, is a factor.
Really, the extent of what's happened?
I can't say because I don't know.
What he does know is that their 4 children are victims too, aged 8 to 18. The eldest is a student at the same university where all of this happened.
That response.
She's obviously in a state of denial.
Dr. Lawrence Kobolinski studies crimes, and as a professor at John Jay College, he knows the value of tenure.
When a person is denied tenure, it hits them to their core, and it kind of is a message that you're not a professional, that your scholarly activities are not up to the level where they should.
Pulled the trigger, killing 3 of her colleagues. She had visited this shooting range. Her husband says they even went together. But in a phone interview with ABC News, James Anderson said he doesn't know where his wife got the gun used in Friday's tragedy, and there was no way to predict she would snap.
Nobody understands what happened. Nobody knows. I mean, I can't
sit down and talk to her and ask her, what happened, what went wrong, what broke.
Routine faculty meeting, Bishop opened fire, methodically shooting professors at the table one at a time. Moriarty managed to crawl into the hallway. Bishop followed, ready to shoot, but when she pulled the trigger, her gun clicked out of bullets. Moriarty scrambled back into the room, and the remaining professors barricaded the door. Bishop's husband says she was upset over being denied tenure at the university, but was once well-liked.
She was loved and respected by everybody in the scientific community and by her students. They all liked her. They all loved her. That's the problem, is all these closed things have been
praised for her work and was even featured in this article for her science.
In 1986, December 6th of 1986, we had a shooting at her home. She had fled the home and was taken at gunpoint by officers of this department.
24 years ago, Bishop accidentally shot her brother to death in the family home. She fled to a nearby store where Tom Pettigrew, a bystander, remembers an agitated and unstable 19-year-old.
I got the shotgun stuck in my chest. She told me to put my hands up. She told me that her husband was after her. She got into a fight. He's looking for her. He's going to kill her. She's looking for a car. She needs to get away.
But there was no husband, and was her brother's death really an accident? Police say Bishop had been in a fight with him right before the gun went off. She wasn't interviewed for 11 days, and the files went missing, raising even more questions.
This would not happen in this day and age, I can tell you that.
The DA at the time, now a congressman, chose not to prosecute, and the chief, now retired and 87 years old, defended that decision over the weekend. But today, after seeing a state police report, he tells a different story.
If I knew that, then certainly anyone in this room without the police background would think something else.
And questions why the case was closed so quickly.
There should have been more detail in that. It created more questions than it did answers.
They believe there was a cover-up because Bishop's mother was a respected town official. The former DA will only say he doesn't recall the case.
Bedroom where Bishop loaded the 12-gauge shotgun, a National Enquirer article describing a similar shooting was found. Amy Bishop's mother, Judy, has been re-questioned in the new investigation into the 1986 shooting. Sources tell ABC News they believe Judy Bishop's position as a town official may have led to a cover-up.
Terrified.
I can't give you any excuses because there are none. Jobs weren't done. Responsibilities weren't met.
There's a second shocking link between Massachusetts and the University of Alabama professor accused of fatally shooting 3 colleagues. The Boston Globe reports in 1993, Amy Bishop and her husband, James Anderson, were questioned after 2 bombs were sent to this Newton home of Paul Rosenberg, a Harvard professor and Boston Children's Hospital doctor. The package was made up of 2 6-inch pipe bombs connected to 2 batteries you see here. No one was ever charged with mailing them, but a lab technician who worked at Children's Hospital says Bishop got into a dispute with Rosenberg before the discovery.
I know she was talking to the police, or the police was investigating her about it, about the bombs. Mm-hmm. And she told me about it. I really didn't know what to make of it, and I didn't ask her. I just thought it was odd.
Bishop's husband told the New York Times the investigation was a, quote, mess, and that he and his wife were cleared in that case.
Completely rattled. It was the time of the Unabomber, and scientists sometimes were his targets, so we were really afraid.
Police say Bishop was upset over what she thought would be a negative evaluation of her work. Former co-worker Sylvia Flukiger, who sat across from her at a research lab, says she was depressed and odd and recalls a disagreement between student and teacher.
I just know that there was an argument, and it seems that the police questioned her. She had told me that they talked to her about those bombs.
What was her reaction?
Kind of strange. She had like a grin in her face.
She wasn't charged due to lack of evidence. During the investigation came more insight into the complex mind of Amy Bishop. On her computer, a novel about a woman who killed her brother and was hoping to make amends by becoming a great scientist.
Joining us. There was a professor who stepped forward and is given credit for stopping what was already a horrific incident, and that is Professor Deborah Moriarty. She was there in the room when the shooting took place and was able to confront Dr. Bishop. What more can you tell us about her actions and how she helped bring this to an end?
I believe that she acted very quickly to try and stop Dr. Bishop from firing again. She survived 2 attempts to shoot her, and she managed to help start barricading the door when Dr. Bishop left the room. So it's just unbelievable how somebody can act that way in such terrible circumstances.
Dr. Bishop was denied tenure last year in 2009, and her husband said that he believes that was one of the things that set her off. Why was she denied tenure?
The tenure process took most of that academic year. The final decision was made in March of 2009. Dr. Bishop appealed the process. The appeals process took, again, a significant period of time because of the importance of the tenure decision. The appeal was denied. The original decision was upheld in November.
In November of 2008, you touted her on your blog for an invention that she created. Was there any time that you felt anything was out of sorts with her, anything out of the ordinary with her? And how much did you have to do with her? How well did you know Dr. Bishop?
There are over 300 faculty members on this campus. I know Dr. Bishop. I know many of the members of the Department of Biological Sciences and, of course, other professors. The particular case that was quoted in terms of Dr. Bishop's invention, that's an example of some research done at the university that generated intellectual property that had the chance to turn into a small startup company.
I know that you have spent time in a hospital with some of the victims and their families. How can you tell? How are they doing? What can you tell us about their conditions?
The last I heard yesterday was that the 2 who remain in hospital are still in intensive care, and there's still a lot of work to be done to bring them back to their families. But when I last spoke to the families, they were much more upbeat than they were at the start of this process. So we are very, very hopeful that they'll continue to improve and they can return to their families and homes as quickly as possible.
That is good news indeed.
Joining me now is a friend of the Harvard-educated neurobiologist, Rob Dinsmore. Rob, you've known Amy for about 12 years. How did you meet her?
Well, we were in a fiction writers group together starting in the mid or late 90s that met out of Hamilton Library. I see, a writing group. Did you think she was capable of such the things that she's being accused of? No. I mean, I could imagine her punching somebody out at a meeting or something like that, but I couldn't imagine the level of violence. I mean, she's an impulsive person, but I couldn't imagine her being able to do that to people. What do you mean she would have hit somebody but not shoot somebody? Is that what you think? Yeah, kind of. I mean, she was impulsive, and she when she thought she was right, she wouldn't back down. So she was pretty much of a straight shooter and probably not terribly diplomatic. Okay, no pun intended there, I take it. A straight shooter. Yeah. Do you think so? So she snapped. She must have snapped. Is that what you think? That's what I'm thinking. Now, the fact that the gun was there gives me pause, but it could have been just that she was carrying it around for protection, and then all it took is a couple of minutes to just completely lose it. When you knew her... That's the way I like to... When you knew her, did you know that she had this history of having shot her and killed her brother? No, I didn't even know she had a brother. And with all the talks we've had late at night, I was very surprised that had never come up. So that was a real shocker. Yeah. And then there was some suspicion, allegedly, that she had sent a pipe bomb to a colleague at Harvard University or a professor at Harvard University. That was certainly news to me. That was news to me completely. Now, the other thing that she did was she went to a shooting range the other day and was practicing shooting. That's kind of odd, too, isn't it? That preceded this shooting that took place amongst her colleagues the other day? Yeah. Well, you know, I try to put the best spin on it because she's my friend, but I would like to think that it was just that she was, again, carrying it for protection and trying to learn how to use it. But I admit it doesn't look good for her.
And last week, I read somewhere that you talked to her about tenure, because it seems like that might be a possible motive for her going berserk.
Yeah, I know she's very, very frustrated about the tenure situation and the fact that, for instance, a lot of the research that got funded was very derivative, unoriginal, and she also talked a little bit about, the glass ceiling. So I think when she left Harvard because she thought she had a good crack at tenure at Alabama, and I think when she didn't get that, I think that could very well have just been the final straw. She
also mentioned financial difficulties she was having. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think most of the time I knew her, they were struggling financially, and then when they got to Alabama, I think Jim lost his job. So, yeah, I think it was always a big issue, and she was counting on tenure to help her, earn a decent income. I was surprised when I spoke with her a couple of weeks ago that she had this startup company that looked very promising, and she was very excited about it. So that's why I was doubly surprised to find out that, that this happened.
I'm curious, when you were in the writing group with her, what was her writing about? Was it violent writing? Did you get a clue there, maybe?
There was some of it was violent material. There was, she wrote a story about growing up in Belfast during the Troubles. The civil unrest in Northern Ireland. That was sort of gritty and street violence. And then she wrote another book. It was about a scientist who had a secret life as an IRA operative. And that had gun violence, and it was sort of typical thriller stuff. So that's the level of violence I'd see.
I see. Well, there's so many, little clues that we now see after all is said and done. The pipe bomb possibility and the brother. Which brings me to the brother. Now that you know the story, and having known her, do you think there's a possibility that she might have killed her brother intentionally?
I tend to doubt it. I think it was an accident, but I think they were very careful to try to cover, just to make sure that the case kind of got thrown out. I can't imagine why she would kill her brother.
Well, my information is after she shot and killed him, she went out into the street with her gun and asked somebody to get her a getaway car because she said allegedly she was having a fight with her husband, which obviously was a lie. So she might have killed him intentionally, for all we know. But that's all that has to be all sorted out now.
Professor from the death penalty. But now Amy Bishop Anderson wants a new trial and her conviction thrown out.
To remember that the key point in all this is the filing of an appeal, not the actual granting of one. And much like a lawsuit, anyone convicted of a crime can file an appeal regardless of the circumstances, and that is exactly what Amy Bishop's attorneys did just hours ago.
My best guess would be that it's probably a pretty slim chance at her prevailing.
Madison County DA Rob Broussard says his office has yet to receive formal notice of Amy Bishop's appeal, a surprising legal twist that goes against the heart of the plea deal her attorney struck earlier this fall.
The question immediately becomes, how can she appeal something when she has waived her right to appeal?
The plea deal Bishop agreed to in September includes a provision that waives her right to appeal a capital murder charge that she was subsequently convicted on. But even though Bishop may not be entitled to an appeal, she can still file for one. That's the fine print which made Monday's development possible.
I think this is probably entirely in line with her personality. Self-centered. It's all about her. She probably went down to the penitentiary, realizes she's going to die down there, and doesn't like it. And so I'm not really surprised.
She got what she wanted. She got life without parole. Now she wants something less than that. So she's back in the court system.
Legal analyst Mark McDaniel says Amy Bishop's chances of success on getting the conviction thrown out are slim to none.
24 years later, why go after these charges? She's already facing this other trial in Alabama. I know they're two separate cases, but were you surprised when you heard they were actually filing charges?
Not terribly surprised. I think a couple of reasons. One is in some ways to save face on the part of the law enforcement authorities up in Massachusetts. It was badly bungled, the fact that it was never presented. The grand jury never got a chance to take a look at all of this. I think the other thing is this. It provides a bit of a safety net. Because the trial in Alabama, you have to assume there's going to be an insanity defense down there because there doesn't seem to be anything else playing out. If, in fact, that's successful, remembering that insanity defenses are rarely successful, but if it is, what happens to her, she doesn't go to prison, she goes into a hospital. And she's there until some medical people say she's no longer a danger to herself or others. That might never happen. John Hinckley, we know, still in a hospital. But it could happen. And this gives them a fallback position. If she's released from a hospital, Massachusetts authorities can say, okay, you know what? Bring her right up here. We're going to take a shot at this murder case.
Could it also make...
Theory number 2, long-term rage and grievance fixation. Now, investigators and psychologists often point to a pattern of grievance collecting, holding on to perceived slights for years, replaying them, and seeing others as enemies. Former co-workers said Amy frequently believed she was being sabotaged, mistreated, or conspired against. This fits a known pattern in some workplace attackers, the belief that violence is a form of justice. Theory number 3, untreated or unmanaged mental illness. Another major theory is serious, long-standing mental illness, possibly involving paranoia, delusional thinking, or personality disorders. And as you can see in the video in 1986, as you can see in the clips, in 1986, Amy fatally shot her brother as a teenager, and it was ruled an accident. There were multiple reports over the years of erratic behavior, threats, and aggression that never resulted in sustained intervention. Many experts believe the system repeatedly failed to interrupt a dangerous trajectory early. Theory number 4, sense of entitlement and identity collapse. Some analysis emphasize a psychological mix of elite identity, I'm exceptional, I deserve this, and catastrophic ego injury when that identity collapses. For someone whose entire self-worth is tied to status, losing it can feel like annihilation. And in rare cases, that rage turns outward. Theory number 5, and this is the last theory, institutional blind spots. This is a quieter but equally important theory. It focuses less on Amy's herself and more on institutional failure. Repeated warning signs that were minimized. Now, academic culture discourages confrontation, fear of lawsuits or stigma, delayed action. In this view, the tragedy wasn't just about one person, but about systems that didn't act decisively when red flags were accumulated. So that's a very tragic case, and my heart goes out to the families of the victims. A person like Amy Bishop, more than likely something would happen. You just don't know, and I don't think people would be safe around her. So it's good that she's where she is. And thank you so much for watching.